Good morning, everyone. This is Mike in Detroit. Forgive my attire. I just came back from my morning bike ride. Okay, we have some ambitious stuff to do today for our accompanying pianist out there. There's a video to help you out a little bit. So I am challenging myself to give you a roadmap that you can play pretty much any song you want in jazz or gospel or pop. When I say this genre of music is just non-classical, that's all it is. Okay, so let's get to work here. Roll up our sleeves, get your paper out. Your best friend is the pause button. So much of this I have reviewed in earlier videos, but this is going to be the speed reading version of chords and accompanying on the piano. So step one, get your triads down. So there's a C major triad, here's a C minor triad, here's a C diminished triad, here is a C augmented triad. So how you form these is, well, a couple of ways. You can do it via interval. You can say, well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps. That's 1, 2, 3 half steps, and form it that way. I usually don't do it that way. Add a bass note to make it a little bit fuller. I think I need to turn my keyboard up a little bit. There you go. I just know the C scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, and I think in numbers 1, 3, and 5. I know the D flat scale, 1, 3, 5. Remember that ice skating song? This is always a place to start. So I'm not going to dwell here because this is rapid fire video. If you want a little bit more explanation, I have a whole series for beginners. I think it's 4 or 5 videos on my channel. Go back and look at that. But if you're ready to drink out of the fire hose, here we go. So now let's make sure we can do that triad in all 12 keys. And I'm just going to chromatically stop and get these if you need to. Here's an E flat, here's an E, here's an F, here's a G flat, here's a G, here's an A flat, here's an A, B flat, B, and C. Now notice the grips, the chord shapes that we have here. All white notes kind of flat. That's kind of like a bowl shape, this kind of shape. Black, white, black. That's kind of a mountain shape. You get this is muscle memory. Now, once you have these, and I'm giving you roadmaps, and if you hit the pause button, you'll get some voicings out of this as well. But once you have this, you want to put this into musical context. You want some rhythm behind it. So I don't know. Let's just see what happens here. And we're gonna boom. Now we're gonna practice our triads. work that up to some musical rhythm. You almost don't want to make anything just an exercise. It's an exercise until you can turn it into something more musical. Now that was major, so we can do minors. Same thing. So I am practicing these right up in chromatic steps, but that's not the only way to practice it. You can practice it around the circle. C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, and so on. D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, and then back to C. You can practice it in whole steps. However you want to practice it, as long as you do enough reps that you get these triads under your fingers. Now, I only played root position triads there, so while we're in triad land, we need all three inversions. We need this inversion. Here's the C chord, root position, roots on the bottom, first inversion, and now work that around the circle, and then second inversion. So a lot of the beginners will spend a lot of time in triad land, is what I call it. And there's actually nothing wrong with that. You can't just wake up and in a week you're playing Hezekiah Walker. That's just not going to work for most people. You can play these blocks, you can splash them, you can arpeggiate them. If you can't get all the way around the circle, or you can't get all the way through 12 keys chromatically, just don't frustrate yourself. Have fun doing this. Do what you can. Maybe you can only do 2 keys, and that's fine. So here we go with C. C inversion. Here's another inversion. Let's move to F. So you do what you can do, and then you make that musical. Maybe a couple days later you can do a few more keys. That's how I ride my bike. When I first got on it, I rode 2 blocks and I was tired. But you keep at it, now you add. That's how growth works. So now why do we need inversions? Well, because of voice leading. Instead of going here to F. Let's say I'm going from C to F. If I'm in a musical context, there's no way I'm going to play it like that. Because that's just, it's seldom that I'm going to play it like that. I shouldn't say no way. Most of the time I'm going to go to the nearest F inversion. Now let's say if I needed to go to B flat. Well, I'm going to look for a common tone. There's a common tone between F and B flat. And I'm going to voice that B flat this way, first inversion. What if I wanted to go to E flat? I'm going to look for a common tone. There it is. And I'm going to adjust to that E flat. What if I want to go to A flat? Where's the common tone? There it is down there. The idea. So in triad land, you want to stay here until you can play all 3 inversions, all 12 keys, major, minor, diminished. I don't play too many augmented chords, although I can. They just don't come up as often. And a minor 7 flat 5 chord, that'll come up later when we deal with 7th chords. Now, that's step 1. Rapid fire. Step 2 is you're going to add 7th chords. Here's a triad. Now we're going to go to that jazzier triad plus 7. Triad plus 7. Triad plus the 7th. And the 7th in major is always a half step down from the next root. Now let's take that around the circle. There's B flat. Here's E flat. Here's A flat. And D flat. G flat. B. And you notice that these 7th chords do add a richness that the triads just don't have. But everything has its appropriateness. So where are we? We're on E. And now we're on A. See, here's an A triad with the 7th. And now we're on D. And we're on G. Now we're back to C. Now work that chromatically if you want to. All the way up until you get back to C. Where am I? A? Yep. B flat. B. And now we're back to C again. Work it in half steps, work it in minor thirds, work it. So what's the minor thirds? C and boom. Why do we suggest these little exercises? Because they're going to come up in musical context. C going to E flat. It's a beautiful upper minor third. What's the minor third? Now we're going to go in here. Let's go down a minor third. Beautiful. Okay. Now we know since there's 4 notes in a 7th chord, C, then there's 4 inversions. But there's 2 that's played more often than others. This inversion is root inversion, and this one, second inversion. So if you have limited time, these are what I call money voicings. And you'll see why in just in a minute if you don't know already. So add that voicing. Now you could add that voicing, but hardly ever do I play that voicing. So major, root position, and second inversion. Let's call it the A, B. Let's do that in F. Let's do that in B flat. Root position, second inversion. Where am I? E flat. Root position, second inversion. Now I'm giving you a step by step. Don't skip steps. Make sure you have this before you move on. A flat. Root position, second inversion. D flat. If it takes you a week or a month or whatever to get all of these, take whatever time you need until it's fluid. Notice the grip shape and the root shape and the blah, 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 blah. In other words, you want muscle memory. Here's G flat. and D, and A. How do you find these? Well, you just take the top two notes, this A flat and this E, right? And you take it down. Now, if it gets too low, you just take it here. And now we have a D. Now you need to do this with both majors and minors. So we did a lot of majors there. So let's do a few minors. So here's same process. We bring the top two notes down and we're going to end up with this. Work with that a little bit. Now let's do an F minor. Top two notes will come down there. Who says practice was boring? B flat minor is this. Beautiful. Or work that through all the keys and then get an exercise. Either circle exercise, chromatic, doesn't matter. Till you get these under your finger. That's step 2. Master your 7 chords. Now today I only want to give you 3 steps because if you get these down, the third step is really relatively easy. I'm going to give you a cheat you can do. If you know your 7th chords, now you can cheat. So let's say I want to play a C major 7th with a 9th on the end. Well, if I did, that's the chord I'm after. So if I did that, and I took the C away, I notice I have a E minor 7 over C. So I'm going to take full advantage of that because in step 2, I learned all my 7 chords. I also know that there's money voicings. There's a voicing, and there's a voicing. All over C. So the rule is 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Go to the third of that chord and play them. And then if it's major, play minor. If it's major, play minor. Let's try another one. So let's do F. Major 9. Take the F away, you have the third of the chord in minor. The full chord is major, but your right hand is thinking minor. So it's kind of like cheating. It's like cheating. It's cheating because you know your 7 chords, and we're gonna stack chords on top of a root note. Now, once you have that, you want both voicings. So let's go back to C, E minor. Root position, second word inversion. Now I'm on the F, I'm thinking A minor 7 over F, or A minor second inversion over F. Whichever gives me the right voice leading that I need. Don't worry, I'm going to give you a song application in just a second. If I want to play a B flat, what's the third of B flat? Well, D is. Good to know your skills, by the way. These chords are lovely, 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 lovely. Get both money chords, this and this. How about an E flat? What's the third of E flat? G is. Watch where my thumb is. Or this. Second inversion. You get the idea. And now we can actually, let's say we want to do a 2-5-1 in C. I got a D in my bass and I got an F in second inversion. All I gotta do is drop this thumb down and get my G13. Now I got an E minor over C. Do that again. Too much rhythm so you can see the virtual keyboard there. So let's do it one more time. 2, key of C. This note is the only thing moving, and the bass note. That gives me a G13 and 2-1. That's in the key of C. Let's do that in the key of F. Oops. That's a G is the 2 of F, but I'm in my right hand, I'm thinking B flat, because that's the third of that chord, B flat major. It's a minor overall, but my right hand flipped it, made it major. Thumb moves. Okay, so you should be able to do that in whatever key you want. Let's go back to the key of C. I did it this way. It's the C. I didn't have to move that C if I wanted to play a suspended chord and then delay that resolution. I could have done that. But let's say if I did it this way. Still going to be the C moving. So I have a D bass over an F. Now, if I don't change my right hand, I'm going to get to that gospel-y 4/5 sound. Hear that all the time in gospel. You can resolve that if you want to, or you don't have to. If you want to resolve it, it's the C moving to a B. Now you can go down or up. Once I get to the C chord, I'm thinking E minor 7. One of those two money voicings over C. Practice that until you can get that in any key that you want. In any key that you want. Well, let's try it in, let's try a E flat. Here's an F minor 7. Hold that chord, Michael, so people can see it. You appreciate too much. Drop the thumb. Okay, now I'm on E flat, which is really a G minor second inversion over E flat bass. It's like cheating. It's like cheating. But then if you get these two versions down and you know your major 7 chords and now you can stack them on top of different basses, you can play pretty much any song you want, really. And I know that's a heavy lifting for some. Some of you, it's just a little icing on the cake. Depends on where you are in your piano journey. So let's take an example. Let's take that song, Fly Me to the Moon. So the song is on a C, and the chord is A minor. Now, I told you that If I see an A minor, I'm going to go to its third, and I'm going to play a C major over A. Now, if somebody's singing that song or a saxophone player is playing the melody, then this voicing is fine. Fly me to the moon, to the moon. But if you have to play the melody, you got to adjust for that melody. But let's not worry about the melody too much. We're going to work on chord voicings. We're either going to play this C here or here. Let's take this one. Now the next chord is a D minor. So let's do what we practiced. C to D minor. I just drop my thumb to get that G7 to a C major. Now we need an F. Amen. Now I went here for voice leading reasons. B minor 7 flat 5. Here's an E7 sharp 5 sharp 9. One of my favorite chords. Now I'm at the part that says, when, in other words, I could go here. I'm thinking F major over D. Bass gives me that D minor 9. Now I'm on a C major 9. In other words, now we got this Lionel Richie thing going. Different version on purpose. This song off. So go back and listen to that, or check out the virtual keyboard, and that's just a quick demonstration that says, if you go through these steps, start with your triads, get to the 7th chords, and then get to 9th chords, you can pretty much play whatever song you see or you can hear, or if you go step by step through these exercises. I know that was a fire hose for you this morning, but it was requested that I kind of condense this and throw it at you. Now your job is to get a piece of paper. I'll put Monday on to Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm going to work exactly on this. Don't try to do all this at the same time. And let me know how you're doing down there in the comments section. And I will talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.